Hey everyone, it's Ben Kelly here, the Strong Seminarian. Just wanted to give you some updates on my first competition. Went to my first strongman competition and wanted to give you a little bit of my perspective from it rather than just the short videos you've seen on my YouTube channel. Let you know what was going on that day. So over the weekend, I competed in the OKI Strength Expo presented by Bells of Steel. I was at the Novice Heavyweight, which is 220 pounds and up. And that that weight class and that novice class is just kind of misleading, to say the least. I went in at 242 pounds, and I was the smallest guy in the novice category. The gentleman who won the competition weighed in at 311 pounds, so big boy. And every guy that podiumed was over 290. So it just, there's a little bit of a disadvantage I was at already going in. I thought when I was warming up and seeing a lot of these guys warm up, I thought I was warming up with fellas who were in the open category for like the super heavyweight. No, they were all in the novice category, which is, you know, talking to some guys that were in the open category, they said that's a shame because guys like that shouldn't be competing at the novice level, but it is what it is. I mean, just to give you an example, the fella who won, like I said, he was 311 pounds. He's also a former power lifter and has over a 600-pound bench press. You just don't meet people like that very often. I've been in the gym for years, and I've never personally met a 600-pound bench presser. So we're just talking about a different level, even though it was a very local event, even though it was a novice category. The competition was huge in this. And in fact, my training partner who weighed in at 274 was the second smallest guy there. So we're talking about a big disadvantage when it comes to weight, but strongman, that doesn't matter. You go and compete. There were 9 people competing. I finished 8th place. So I came in with 3 goals. I wanted to finish all the events of the competition. I wanted to not get hurt, and I didn't want to finish in last place. So I actually did all those things. I finished every event. I didn't get hurt, and I actually didn't come in last place. So there's a little bit of a win there. But let me just go through the events and tell you what's going on with them so that you can get an idea what happened for me there. The first event that came up was an overhead medley, and I had put up training videos you guys had seen. I was able to, the weights really for this overhead medley were pretty light. There was a keg at 175 pounds, a barbell at 185, and then a what we call a monster or circus dumbbell at 125 pounds. Those are all weights that I can easily lift over my head, you know, with a keg. I just started doing it, but it's not bad. Been lifting a barbell over my head for years. And then I don't have a monster dumbbell, but I've trained with a kind of a thick Olympic barbell, or I'm sorry, dumbbell. So try to get around that. So everything was fine with that until the monster dumbbell. When I went there, or when I got there and I started practicing, I noticed that it was huge. This thing had a 12-inch interior diameter, and so it was probably over 13 inches wide. And it was so awkward and so slick. I could not properly balance it on my shoulder in order to get under it and then press it overhead. So you'll see in the video, the keg went up super easy. I even got comments from other strongmen standing behind me, like they were saying easy. The barbell went up very easily. And in those time splits, I did those about as fast as anyone in there. But once I got to the dumbbell, I couldn't press it. So that'll be something I have to practice, really getting a monster dumbbell of my own sometime. and working on that balance and how to get it up over my shoulder. But that's really the only time you use something like that. Monster dumbbell doesn't really do anything to add strength to your shoulders or anything like that. It's more of just a fancy barbarian move that people like to see because it looks cool. So that was the overhead medley. I believe I placed 7th or 8th in that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's simply because I couldn't press the monster dumbbell. So the second event was a mystery event. We didn't know what it was coming into the competition. But when we got there, we were told it was a sandbag hold for time. So what that means is we would pick up a sandbag, we would bring it up to a position above the belt, above the weight belt, and we would have to hold it there as long as we could. The weight for our sandbag was 250 pounds. I had never picked up a sandbag that heavy. I was worried about even getting it off the ground. Thankfully, I did pick it up in warm-up, and I think the method that I chose to pick it up with was just not right. I picked it up long ways, as you could see in the video, and the problem was it just had so much that weight focused on the diaphragm right in the center that I couldn't breathe. I began to actually kind of black out and see stars, and I had to let it go. It was really unfortunate. I did finish last in that event. Most of the guys, they had no problem holding it for over 45 seconds. Some of them, I think the winner even went like 2 minutes or something. So it was a crazy event, really difficult, not the easiest of things to do, but now I know, and I can train for something like that in the future on how to better do that. I'm really actually even impressed I was able to pick the bag up, having never picked up a heavy sandbag like that. The next event was a timber carry or a frame carry. The frame weighed 480 pounds. And this was an event where I just wanted to finish. I could not train this event. My training partner and I, we did it back in early June before I broke my toe. And we did it at a very light weight. I think we only got up to like 315 pounds. And, we're working on moving our feet, getting that footwork done. And I had planned to move up in increments with that weight over time. However, the next week I broke my toe. I couldn't put that kind of weight on it and move. And so I only got to practice the frame carry once with that kind of weight. I actually practiced it with 500 pounds just to get my body used to the load. And then I came back about 10 days later and practiced it with, 370 pounds or something like that, just a few days before the competition to work on my footwork. So the fact that I was able to carry it down 40 feet and then carry it back 40 feet, I'm just glad my grip held out. I didn't drop it once. I kept moving. It wasn't the fastest time. I think I got 6th or 7th place on that. So obviously it wasn't the fastest time, but I'm just really happy I was able to finish and I didn't drop it. So that was very awesome. The fourth event, which now that I think about it, was really the third event, but I switched it up with the frame carry. But the fourth event was the deadlift, max deadlift. This was, at first it was going to be the best of 3 lifts. What are your best 3 lifts? And you just have to go in there and call your weight and do that. However, they changed it at the last minute since they didn't have anybody going for the national record. They had us do what was called a last man standing. So they would move the weight up in increments of 40 and 50 pounds, and you could lift whatever rep you wanted to. You just once you missed a rep, that was it. Your highest rep is what counted, and to break tiebreakers, the person who lifted the least amount of reps would take the tiebreaker on that. So this was a very good event, even though I only placed, I think I placed 8th again in this. There were some strong deadlifters. Again, lifting in a novice category where you have guys who outweigh you by 60 pounds is something I didn't expect. However, the good news is I actually did, give myself 2 personal records on this event. In training, I never lifted over 510 pounds on this, and on that day I lifted 520. I felt so good. I came back and lifted 560. 560 is the short that I have on the video here. And then unfortunately I went back to try to get what would that been? That would have been 610. Yeah, so I attempted 610, and I don't know if I was just too tired by that point. I could not budge it off the ground. So while I didn't place extremely well, I knew my deadlift is not super great. At the same time, I hit a personal best of 560. I'm really excited about that. That's over 50 pounds. There is something to going to a competition or a meet and then getting your personal best there while you're competing. So that's awesome. It looks like I have that kind of adrenaline that when I hit the platform, I pull up big weights. I can perform when the time comes. So that's a good thing if I continue to compete. And then the last thing that we had to do, the last event was called a Sandbag Steeplechase. It's where there's a loading bar in the middle of the course. You have to start at the bar, run down, get a sandbag. The first sandbag was 150 pounds. Run it back to the middle of the course, put it over the bar, and then pick it up on the other side, run it to the end of the course, run all the way back, pick up a 200-pound sandbag and do the same thing. Load it over the bar, pick it up, and take it to the finish line. A lot of guys were complaining about this event because they did not expect so much cardio to be happening. And I get it. These guys are heavyweights. They didn't expect to have to move that much dynamically. I will say, because I'm a smaller strongman, I do kind of wish I would have pushed myself a little harder on this event. I wasn't real sure about my conditioning. We had only been practicing with sandbags for 3 weeks because me and some of the guys, we had to purchase our own. But we'd only been practicing with sandbags for about 3 weeks. I was not used to running with a sandbag. However, given my size, I found out that I could actually move a lot faster than some of these guys. And so my focus going into that, and I was one of the ones who had to go early because I placed, I just hadn't been placing as high on some of these other events. I had to go early on, and I just focused on beating the kid that was going with me, and I had the best time after I had gone, but then there were 3 other guys who did better than me. So I finished 4th in that event. That was a really good event. It was the only event I finished in the top half, but next time I know if I'm going to do something like that, a dynamic event like that, and I'm competing against guys who are larger than me, maybe I need to push a little harder so that I can move faster and make up some points with that. So those are the events. Like I said, I finished 8th place out of 9. Not the best thing to do, but I learned from it. I know what I need to do going in next time if I have events like this. And it was a lot of fun. One of the best things about it was hitting personal best, never having picked up a 250-pound sandbag, never having walked that far with that heavy of a frame, never having run with a 200-pound sandbag that far, the personal best on the deadlift, that was all good stuff. It seems that I do put myself in the right frame of mind. I'm ready to go in the events. I performed better than I thought I would in practice. It's just that for this competition, for some reason or the other, I was competing with some giants. So that's okay. So what comes next? I'm getting better. I'm actually getting ready to go down the street and do some bench pressing with a buddy of mine. Just some very light stuff to get back into it. Today is Tuesday, so I competed on Saturday, so I've given myself a few days of rest. Still in a lot of pain in my knees and my hips and my really my quads, my legs, my lower back. So now that's to be expected when you have a competition that is that heavy. So really excited. I'm going to already signed up for my next competition. There'll be a Static Monsters Western Ohio in, let's see, that is October 26th. And it's all max events. So Static Monsters has started out as a max log lift, max axle deadlift, a 17-inch axle deadlift. So there'll be those two events, max log lift, max axle deadlift. Then if you want to continue in the competition, which I do, it will be a max keg press. So that's awesome. Again, having two different overhead presses in a competition really bodes well for me to place high, because I'm usually pressing with people who are stronger than me. Just as a general rule that I can press with guys who are bigger and stronger and everything else. So that's good. So that'll be to my benefit. Not great on an axle deadlift. I'll have to work on that. Really, I need to work on any deadlift. It's not very good for me. The fourth event is a max frame carry for 10 feet. So what they're doing is they build up in increments of 50 pounds. They start at 400, and then you just kind of pick the weights where you believe you can carry this frame 10 feet without dropping it. If you drop it, you are out. But after how I practice, and especially since this isn't for time, since you kind of get to move with it, I'm not really worried about my grip and how you hold a frame. I'm really more worried about being able to pick it up and then move with it. So I think a 600-pound frame carry might be in the works here. We'll see how it goes. And then the last event is a max sandbag to shoulder. They will have sandbags in different increments going up, I believe 50 pounds, going up 50 pounds. The keg press goes up 25 pounds. So they'll start us at like 150, and you go in every increment for 25. And then the sandbags, it's a sandbag to shoulder starting at, I want to say 50 pounds, which is easy, going all the way up to 400 pounds. And so you pick which sandbags you want to try to do, and you get them from the ground up onto your shoulder, and then you hold your hand out. You can't see my hand, but you hold your hand out to show that you have shouldered that sandbag. So exciting, all maximum events, nothing really dynamic. It'll really help. I'll really have a good idea of what I can do going into that. But that is October 26th, Static Monsters. Static Monsters is a worldwide show. It's, in hundreds of cities across the U.S. I'm glad to be going to one here locally. So that's everything I got. I'm going to do this again. I hope you continue watching. I hope you cheer me on, and just, hope I continue to get better. So love you guys, and I will talk to you later.